Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for allowing my wife to be publicly humiliated? I love my wife, she is the best thing that ever happened to me. She is also not a super nice person, and can be something of a bully. Her son got married recently and she hates the bride, no actual reason, just hates her. She kept joking about wearing white to the wedding, and the poor bride, who doesn't know her very well, thought she was just joking. She wasn't. She wore a floor-length white lace gown to the wedding, just to be a witch. I told my wife that this was a terrible idea, and that she was making herself look crazy, but she would not be reasoned with. When the bride saw her, she teared up a little. This is after a lot of bad blood between them. During the reception, my stepson bribed his wife's nephews. One distracted my wife. She loves kids, so got up to play with him, and the other one put the chocolate frosting off of a cupcake on her seat. Honestly, I didn't say anything, because I told her ahead of time that she was going to deserve whatever she got. She didn't notice for hours until my stepson said something before he left. Somehow, she isn't mad at him, isn't mad at the kids, but is furious with me and says that I should have told her, and I am supposed to be on her side. I thought this drama was over, but my stepson posted a picture of his wife on social media this morning, and the crap-looking stain is pretty clear in the background, so my wife is mad at me again. Now for the top comments. Dude. Like another user commented, you should absolutely not have enabled this behavior in your wife by going to the wedding with her at all. What she did doesn't just make her look crazy, it's something that a lot of people would cut contact with a parent over and be justified in doing so. The woman needs therapy, and it sounds like you do too. Not the a-hole for letting her dress get frosting on it. But you're the a-hole for not actually standing up to her at all, and leaving the responsibility on literal children to put a grown woman in her place. Like Jesus Christ, man, you say the bride almost started crying at her own wedding as a freaking throwaway line. Where is your empathy and compassion? You stop standing by your partner when they do bad stuff like ruining someone's wedding day for no freaking reason. Where's your empathy and compassion? If he had empathy and compassion, he wouldn't be married to someone like that. I noticed in another comment he says he's an a-hole too, which is part of why he fell for her. Just you. Who is proud of being a bad person. And how is this bitter, antagonistic person the best thing that ever happened to you? I am really curious. How does a vindictive hater become this in your eyes? Sorry, but I don't feel the least sorry that she was made an object of ridicule at your son's wedding. She took the first shot, a volley was returned, and her wound was the more fatal. Good. The a-hole here is your wife. She made her bed, let her roll around in the frosting for a while. You could maybe have told her about the butt stain if there was any hope that would force her to change her dress. Do you suppose she has money? Somehow, I feel like it is likely part of how great OP thinks she is. Aside from that possibility, the bar isn't set very high here, since he doesn't care if the bride cries or the pictures are full of butt-stained mother of the groom. The second best thing might be a joke heard in a 6th grade gym class that still gets repeated often. Everyone sucks here. Her for everything, and you for not doing more to warn the bride or your son. Why are you even with someone who you admit is a terrible person? Now for the next story. Would I be the a-hole for not sending my stepson to his bio mom's wedding? My stepson is 13. He has lived with my husband and I since he was 6. Before that he lived with his biological mother, if you could even call it that. She was neglectful. Her apartment was so disgusting that you could smell it from down the hall. Mostly, she would drop him at our place and pick him up 2 weeks later after many excuses about why she couldn't pick him up when she was supposed to, only to drop him off 2 days later. Rinse and repeat for about 3 years. The year he turned 6, she moved him across the country with no notice. We did our best to keep in touch with him, and when we found out she hadn't put him in school yet because he needs shots and I can't afford them, we were livid. He had medical insurance which would have covered any shots he needed. She just didn't want to put in the time to take him to the doctor. My husband hounded her until she decided to send him back to live with us full time. She moved him away in July. He was back with us and in school by November of the same year. We have had him ever since. This woman has had nearly zero communication with him since then. There was one spring break that she had him come visit, and one phone call a few months after that, and both of those were when he was 6. He has not talked to her since then. We send pictures and updates about every 3 months but she never comments on them or asks to talk to him. We have asked him and he said he barely remembers her. Now suddenly, out of the blue, she wants him to come to her wedding this April. She's upset that we will not send her child across the country to a place full of strangers for a week. Especially since we will be on our own vacation for spring break that same week, which we've had planned for months. Would we be the a-holes for not sending him to her wedding? Edit: yes. We've asked him. He doesn't want to go to her wedding because he doesn't know her. She is a stranger to him. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's not looking for a relationship with her son, she's looking for a showpiece for her wedding, so she can pretend she's not a terrible mother. Enjoy your trip with your family and ignore her. Precisely. Sending him would not be healthy, nor would it make him happy, quite the opposite. Not the a-hole, and please stick to your guns about not sending him. Not the a-hole. She just wants to show him off. Go on your family vacation and ignore her. Which is exactly what she'll do to her son for the week he's there, apart from a few photos on her wedding day. He doesn't even want to go, so it's a moot point anyways. He's old enough to decide for himself. I wouldn't want to spend a week with a bunch of strangers. Not the a-hole. She's looking for a wedding centerpiece, not a relationship with her kid. I would probably ask him what he thinks about going while not laying all your cards on the table for him. If he were to go out there, he's still young enough he would be very hopeful this was a start to a relationship with his mom. Adults know better, and you could argue it would be worse for him when it falls apart. First of all, I agree. Big not the a-hole. As a child of an absent parent, I'd like to jump off your second point. From a young age, I knew that I didn't want anything to do with the parent who did not acknowledge me. It's a sentiment that I have shared with every other person I've known in the same situation. I think it's a bit of a misconception that kids are eager for the love of a parent they don't remember. In addition, I am grateful every day that no one was pressured into a relationship with me, and I'm so grateful that I was kept away from that part of my biological family until I was old enough to set my own terms for the relationship. It won't work for everyone, but I think sending this kid to be alone with his mother, whatever the circumstances, would be a scary prospect. Considering she has been neglectful in the past just makes it all the more risky for his emotional and physical health. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for forcing a reunion between my fiancée and her family? My fiancée, female 22, and I, male 24, have been together for years. We got engaged after we found out that we were expecting a baby boy. My fiancée isn't on good terms with her family, especially her mom. I should mention that at 17, my fiancée was pregnant, but her mom and everybody in the family wasn't approving of her having it. They kept pressuring her to have a termination, then give up the baby for adoption. My fiancée ended up having a stillbirth. A few months later, she moved out of the house, and that's when we met. She cut contact with her family and her mom. No one came to our engagement party because my fiancée didn't allow them, although they tried to make amends. She didn't let them visit after we had our baby, and despite the texts she received from them, she refused to let them see the baby. I tried to talk to her and see what's going on. She said that she fears they'll force her to give up her baby, but that's not true. We're a family now, and she's an adult and a responsible mother. Circumstances are different. And also, they kept saying they want to meet their grandbaby. So, they love him and there was no harm if they treat him with love and compassion. She refused to discuss it. Her mom contacted me via my mother. She said she wanted me to arrange for a meeting with my fiancé because the family brought gifts for the baby and want to visit. I made arrangements and I ordered food, but didn't tell my fiancé until they were at the door so she won't try to make excuses. She saw her mom and family members at the door. She yelled when they tried to greet her and told them to leave before she called the police. I tried to calm her down, and that's when she said I was unbelievable for arranging for this visit. She kept yelling at me after they left, and said she no longer trusts me with the baby after I betrayed her by letting her family come over behind her back. I told her to just try to start over for the sake of our son, but she went on about her family being toxic, although they did all they could to reconcile. She's mad and isn't talking to me. She wants to go stay with a friend, saying I might invite her family again and cause her to stress out. But I just thought that was a huge overreaction, because if that was me, I'd probably just let go of what happened and move on. I just wanted to say that I already spoke to her family. They said they were willing to do whatever to mend the relationship. They pointed out that our son deserves a relationship with his cousins, because they want to see him, as well as the rest of the family. I've seen the kids, they're innocent in this and they want to meet their cousin, which is one of the reasons why I think that my fiancé is not thinking ahead and letting her anger and resentment affect her decision-making. I suggested therapy, but still won't accept it. You're the a-hole. Holy crap. What a massive betrayal. Check yourself immediately and stop second-guessing your girlfriend's legitimate and founded belief that her family doesn't wish her well. Totally. It is quite possible that OP's girlfriend feels that her family's stressing her out had something to do with her first child's stillbirth. At the very least, she felt emotionally abused by them. OP, you're the a-hole if you think it is anyone's choice but hers, whether or not she ever wants contact with them again, or to allow them to have contact with her and her child. You need to apologize to her ASAP, and tell her what a freaking idiot you've been. Tell everyone else to back the hell off, and check your happy family privilege at the door. You're the a-hole. You betrayed your partner and have broken her trust. I do not have contact with my mother or her family due to their actions. If I was her, I would be ending the relationship with you, as you've proven yourself to not be on her side. OP's fiancé is only 22. She has lots of time to find a partner that legitimately cares for her and puts her needs ahead of his wants. I hope someone in her life is reminding her that at 22 you have so much time, there's no need to anchor yourself to an a-hole. Wow, dude, you're the a-hole. Just because you think you would react a certain way, does not entitle you to demand your fiancé react the same way, much less trap her in a situation where she is forced to react at all. This goes double for a situation where you physically are incapable of enduring the same set of circumstances. You do in fact need to earn back trust here, if you even can. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my friend out of my house after what she did? My, male 36, wife passed away 2 years ago. I have an 11-year-old son named Sean. I'm doing okay with money, I have a stable income and support system. I also have a friend named Kate and we've been together since we were kids. She's like a sister to me, although she tends to boss me around. She's introduced me to her female friends hoping that I'll settle down again. I told her I have other priorities and I'm required to focus on Sean and his health. He's diabetes. Kate thinks there's something wrong with me, but not everyone's circumstance is the same. I started noticing a pattern in her behavior after she introduced me to a friend of hers. She'd tell me to leave Sean at home when we hang out and meet her friends. She'd tell me to take down any pictures that have my son and wife in it, because ladies will assume that I'm a single dad or still married, and that would limit my chances in dating. I told her to knock it off. And she said that she was just looking out for my social life, saying I'm ruining it and exhausting myself. I stopped talking to her for days. Then I decided to let it go. She's been insisting on bringing her friend to visit me with other friends. I agreed to have them as guests. Kate suggested I take Sean to stay with a relative since it'll be adult dinner, but I refused. He was comfortable in his home and didn't want to go. Kate was at my place before her friends arrived. I checked on Sean and told him to tell me if he needed anything before he went to sleep. At 12:30 while I was sitting and just starting to chat with Kate's friend while Kate kept blinking at me with a smirk on her face, I got a text message from Sean telling me he wanted to use the bathroom, but the door handle was stuck and he couldn't open the door. I went upstairs to check and Kate followed me. I found that the door was actually locked. I was confused. I asked Sean, and he said he didn't lock it. I started looking for the key. That's when Kate quietly handed it to me saying she took it. I was stunned. I opened the door for Sean and I asked her why she locked the door. She said that lied to her friend about me not having kids and didn't want her to see Sean. She said it was no big deal since he was sleeping, but I was furious. I started yelling at her as she kept shushing me. Everyone started leaving after I yelled at Kate, and cussed her out for doing this. She blew up after her friend left, and said I was an idiot because most people don't mention kids until after months into dating. And that I didn't deserve her help to move on when she thought I was a decent sane person. I called her stupid and told her to get out of my house. She told me to wallow in my misery and left. Then her friends kept blaming me for making a scene and treating Kate like that, especially since she cooked dinner and helped a lot. Now for the comments. What the actual hell? Not the a-hole, and you won't find anyone saying otherwise. Who locks a kid inside a room? And behind their parents' back too? You need to cut off Kate completely. She doesn't understand. No, wants you to pretend your son doesn't exist and is spewing off lies about dating etiquette. You absolutely need to disclose if you have children or not from the beginning. She told me to wallow in my misery and left. No friend says that. She's the miserable one. Focus on yourself and your kid and do whatever is best and comfortable for both of you. Not the a-hole. The fact that a friend locked your son in his room cause they lied about you having a son, is straight BS. That's not a friend, and obviously you aren't the kind of person to hide your son, for any reason at all. That just proves how selfish and inconsiderate that friend is. Once you're ready to date, you will. And when you do, it'll be with someone worth you and your son. Point blank period. Not the a-hole. She basically wanted you to pull a bait and switch on any prospective partners, and we all know that's an a-hole thing to do. These girls are supposed to be friends of hers too, lol. I can't imagine how that worked out in her head. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry for your loss. What Kate did is inexcusable. She literally locked your child in their room in their own home in a bid for control. Absolutely not. You need to burn the whole damn apron, not just cut the strings. What if there had been a fire? Cut Kate out of your life for good. Endangering your child's welfare is not a way to help you or move on from your wife's untimely passing. I just reread, the child is diabetic by the way. Like, what? And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.